Hi everyone. I'm sorry for all the disturbance. I could not connect. Okay. All right. I'm just going to wait for like 2 more minutes and then I'm going to start talking. Hello. I think YouTube has some problems with me. Every time I try to take a lecture online, I try to take a webinar, and it gives me some kind of issue. Okay. Oh, all right. Hi, everybody. My name is Falak, and I am a nutritionist and cosmetologist at Derma Design and Diet Design. I am just going to give you a brief idea about what we and then I'm going to start talking about fasting. So, at Derma Design, we do everything skin and hair related, whether it be laser hair removal or HIFU, like to tighten up your sagging skin, or whether it be chemical peels, everything that is related to skin and hair to make you look pretty on the outside. That's what we do at Derma Design. And at Diet Design, we do muscle toning, body tightening, cryotherapy, everything that, and we also specialize in tailoring diets for you. And diet design does everything to make you look pretty on the inside. So, together, our goal is to make you feel confident in yourself by making you pretty and healthy at the same time. All right. So, in my lecture today, I'm going to talk about how fasting helps you, what are the risks, what are the different kinds of fasting, and how does it affect your body. All right. Okay, I think I've already covered this. Okay, is a voluntary abstaining from food or drinking for a set period of time. It can be done for religious reasons, for weight loss, or before a medical procedure, like if you want to get your um, blood tested, for example, for sugar, for diabetes. You have to avoid eating food for a certain amount of time. That's what fasting is. And there are three kinds of fasting that I'm going to talk about today, starting with intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is eating within certain windows each day, such as 12 hours or 16-hour windows, for example. Um, the 16 by 8, hold on. Yeah, the 16 by 8 method, in which you fast for 16 hours and you eat for 8 hours. Or you can also do like an alternate day fasting, or the 5 by 2 approach. 5 by 2 approach is where you eat for 5 days normal eating, and then for 2 days you restrict yourself to a 500 to 600 calorie diet. um, and an example of this would be if you choose to eat, let's say, every day except Mondays and Thursdays. That would be your one meal days. And intermittent fasting is like the younger sibling of prolonged fasting. Prolonged fasting is like fasting the same way, just for more than 24 hours, such as 5 days or 20 days. Some do it for religious reasons, and a lot of people just do like prolonged fasting for like 2 to 3 days, like 24, 36, 48, or even 72-hour fasting periods. But these are not necessarily better for you, and it may actually have more risks than intermittent fasting. Going too long without eating might actually encourage your body to start storing more fat in response to starvation. Because when you go too long without eating, your body does not understand that this is voluntary. It thinks that your body is back in the caves and it has to find food every day, and it conserves energy by slowing down your metabolism. And this state is called starvation mode or adaptive thermogenesis. And the third type of fasting is dry fasting. Dry fasting is a type of prolonged fasting, but it involves only water. So, some people may do water fasting with or without intermittent fasting, for example. Let's look at the Ramadan fasts. It's basically intermittent fasting, which is accompanied by dry fasting, because you're restricting yourself from eating and drinking water for like a big period of time through the day, like 8 hours or 16 hours, depending on where you live. Okay, daily time restricted fast, like dry fasting, um, could be, let's say, between 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., or it could also be like a 5 to 2 fasting, like the Monday to Monday and Thursday could be your off days, and the other days you can drink water normally. Um, okay, effects of fasting. We are going to um, talk about intermittent, prolonged, and dry fasting, somewhat interconnected. So I want you to pay more attention because it might get a little technical and a little confusing. Okay, so we're going to talk about hormonal changes that happen in your body. We're going to talk about how your body adapts to this energy deprivation, how your body stores or breaks down fat, or it loses muscle, how your body gains or loses weight, and how does all of this happen. Okay. Okay, so the first thing is energy deficit and hormonal changes, like the hormonal imbalance or the balance that is created because of IF or prolonged fasting. We're going to get into this first, okay? So, when you don't eat for an extended period of time, your body's glucose, that is the sugar levels, drop, and it starts storing glycogen. Glycogen are basically carbohydrate stores that exist in your liver and in your muscles. Your body sugar, glucose, converts into glycogen. Glycogen is the storage form of carbohydrate. And once your body has too much glycogen, it starts converting this glycogen into fats. And um, so what happens is, once your glycogen is depleted, when your body is calorie deficit, it needs energy, it starts breaking down these glycogen stores. And once the glycogen stores are over, it moves down to fat, so it starts breaking fat. And a downside to this is, it doesn't just restrict itself to fat, it can also break down some of your muscle, which leads to me saying in one of my videos that you should consume more protein in your fasting days, because muscle loss is very common. Okay, so what it does is, hormones like insulin, cortisol, ghrelin, leptin, and glucagon, all of these get impacted because of your fasting cycles. And let's talk about intermittent fasting first. Now, intermittent fasting causes your insulin and cortisol levels to drop. Okay, insulin is the hormone that produces glycogen. When it digests the sugar that you consume, it forms glycogen with the sugar that is not being used in your body actively, and it stores it in your muscles and your liver. And when you fast, insulin levels drop, and your body becomes more sensitive to insulin. One, second, it breaks down your glycogen stores, and then when the glycogen stores are over, it moves down to your fat. And it also decreases your cortisol levels. Cortisol is a stress hormone that increases fat storage and appetite, which makes you want to eat more. And cortisol is also infamous for triggering fat deposition, especially in your abdominal area, in your stomach area. It makes your stomach plump. Okay, and this is all a part of stress response. So when your body is when your body is fasting, it does produce some amount of cortisol, because your body does not understand what's going on with it, and it gets stressed and it produces this hormone. But when you're fasting over a long time, cortisol levels are proven to drop. Okay, so that is why intermittent fasting is good for you in terms of stress levels. Okay, and then let's talk about glucagon. Now, glucagon is the hormone that breaks down glycogen. It is basically anti-insulin. Okay, and therefore, when you fast and your insulin levels drop, your glycogen levels increase, and hence it breaks down the oh sorry your glucagon levels increase, hence breaking down your glycogen and eventually fat. And this is done by signaling your body that it has to release the stored energy. Okay. Okay, next let's talk about ghrelin. What is ghrelin? Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. It makes you feel hunger. It makes you realize what is the feeling of hunger. And it increases generally when either your body is nutrient deficient, it needs some nutrients in your body, ghrelin is a way of signaling that your body needs some nutrients. Okay, and other than this, ghrelin also is increased when you haven't eaten in a while. So your digestion, your digestive system, it wants to tell you that I am ready to take more food. Okay, so that's when ghrelin is increased. Okay, and it is produced in the stomach. It signals um, that you're feeling hungry to the brain, and ghrelin levels rise right before meals, or when you look at meals, and they drop after eating. Okay, so now how does ghrelin um, regulate itself when you're fasting? Okay, so let's talk about prolonged fasting first, and then I'll just give you like a brief overview of what happens with ghrelin in intermittent fasting. During prolonged fasting, ghrelin levels may rise significantly. okay, as the body needs food, obviously. And there is a chronic elevation of ghrelin because you're not eating for a couple of days. You're signaling your body that I am back in the caves, like I said. um, your body is not adapted for this. It does not know how to regulate a long period of hunger. So it just keeps producing ghrelin over and over to signal you that you need to eat food. Okay, so this chronic elevation of ghrelin due to repeated or extended fasting can lead to increased hunger and cravings. And now, because you are excessively deficient in calories, now ghrelin in scenarios like this, it makes you want to eat more calorie dense and high fat and high sugar, basically every unhealthy kind of food. Okay, just so it can get enough energy as quickly as it can. And over time, your body may become more sensitive to ghrelin, intensifying the hunger response, which is a result of overeating when fasting ends. Okay? Um, when fasting becomes excessive or irregular, ghrelin remains elevated sometimes and therefore making you feel hunger consistently. Okay, so prolonged fasting is not the best for your ghrelin balance. Okay, all right. And for intermittent fasting, there are a lot of studies that suggest that intermittent fasting may actually lead to decrease in ghrelin levels compared to continuous eating or prolonged fasting, potentially leading to increased hunger for the time being, but eventually improved appetite control. While short term fasting can increase ghrelin, long term IF, intermittent fasting, may help the body become more efficient at regulating ghrelin, potentially leading to improved satiety and therefore weight loss for people who are trying to achieve. Okay, next is leptin. Now, leptin is the opposite of ghrelin. It is a satiety hormone. The higher levels of leptin lower as your appetite. Okay, leptin is secreted by fat cells and signals the brain to reduce appetite and increase energy expenditure when fat stores are sufficient. Now, this does not mean that you go on to take maybe leptin supplements or something, because that is not what a dietitian would um, recommend. It is better you do it naturally or through fasting. Now, effect of regular fasting is that leptin sensitivity is improved. Intermittent fasting in generally improves hormone sensitivity, whether it be insulin or ghrelin or leptin. Um, so, if when your body is um, more sensitive to leptin, even like a small amount or a normal amount is going to make you feel satiated enough that you don't feel the need to consume more calories. Okay, so that is leptin in intermittent fasting. But what happens to leptin in prolonged fasting? Prolonged fasting can because it is increasing ghrelin levels, it eventually decreases leptin levels. Sorry, because the body interprets that the fasting state is a depletion of fat stores even if fat reserves are adequate, and low leptin levels result in reduced satiety signals, causing your brain to increase hunger signals and restore perceived energy balance. So even though you are trying to lose the fat that you already have, when you're losing this fat because of prolonged fasting, your brain signals um, an excess production of ghrelin and reduced leptin because it does not understand that you're actually trying to lose what you have. It thinks that you're losing what is yours, what is supposed to be with you. Okay, Over time, leptin sensitivity can decrease, meaning the brain stops responding to leptin levels effectively, and therefore leads to a dysregulated appetite control and increased fat storage. I am guessing a lot of people here listening to me right now, you do not want excess fat storage, but that is what happens when you are trying to achieve that by starvation or by not eating for a long time, aka prolonged fasting. And therefore, this imbalance, increased ghrelin, decreased leptin, this imbalance creates this vicious cycle of overeating and fat storage, particularly after fasting periods. Because you might have the will to not eat during the fast, but after you're done, it's really hard to control. Your body becomes a reservoir for fat. Okay, so what I'm trying to get with the imbalance story is prolonged fasting is not the best way to go if you want your hormones to be regulated. Intermittent fasting, on the other hand, good option. Okay, next, I'm going to talk about metabolic adaptation. Um, Metabolic adaptation is when your body increases or decreases the amount of calories that it burns at the stage of resting. Okay, resting metabolic rate or RMR is the amount of calories that your body uses, the amount of food that you need to maintain your RMR is adapted when your body is को टाइप सी चार्जर चाहिए इसके लिए मेरे बैग में है म्यूट है Okay, could you please let me know if you can hear me now? Hi, can you please let me know if you can hear me? Hi, everyone. Can you please let me know if you can hear me? I want. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna continue talking now. Um, where was I? Okay, so to prepare your body for future energy scarcity, your body may store a higher proportion of consumed calories as fat once it become as as fat, because whenever your food is available, your body is trying to make the best of it. Okay, and like I said about cortisol, when in the long run cortisol levels go down with intermittent fasting, with prolonged fasting cortisol levels are typically increased. There are studies showing this because your body is in a constant state of stress, and with higher cortisol levels your fat um, levels increase when every time you eat even the smallest amount of food, because your body is trying to save that amount for future scarcities. Okay, so fat storage, consumption of fat, consumption of carbohydrates along with increased cortisol levels, not a good combination. Okay. um Next is muscle loss and fat storage. Now, muscle, while it helps you build your, I'm talking about protein. Protein, while it helps your muscle building, it helps you with um, rebuilding whatever you've lost, your cells, everything. Protein is very important for that, but if you're not consuming enough calories, if you're not consuming enough fat to provide energy for your body to work and do its regular everyday tasks, your body starts using up muscle protein or and for energy, because muscle and carbohydrates, they have the same amount of calories. 1 gram of protein, 1 gram of carbohydrate is 4 calories. So when you're restricting yourself from eating food, your body starts thawing at, like it starts attacking your muscles. It causes muscle loss. Hence, prolonged fasting or extreme calorie restriction can cause muscle breakdown, therefore, and because muscle burns more calories than fat at rest, losing muscle further slows down your metabolism. And when you resume eating, your body stores the incoming calories as fat instead of rebuilding your muscles, maintaining a slower metabolism. Okay. And okay, so this was all about intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting. Let's just talk about dry fasting for a little bit and then we'll get back to this. So, dry fasting is basically restricting water intake. And while it can have some risks, such as kidney problems or electrolyte imbalance because of concentration of electrolytes because of reduced blood volume, it can still have some positive effects like reduced inflammation, delayed aging. Now, I know this comes as a surprise, but there are studies that prove this. Okay, it reduces your immune function. Sorry, improves your immune function, but it also can lead to fatigue and dehydration in the short term. Okay. Now coming back to intermittent fasting, and I want to talk about autophagy. Now, autophagy can be quite an extensive topic, and if you would like me to talk about it in further detail beyond what I'm going to talk about in this video, you can let me know in the comments or maybe send me an email asking about whatever questions you have. I'll address it in the upcoming videos. Okay. Okay, so autophagy is basically your body's ability to kill those cells that do not do any benefit in your body and use everything that is still beneficial in those cells and rebuild more. Okay, so it is like an advanced version of apoptosis. If you know what is apoptosis, apoptosis is cell death basically, and autophagy is cell death but with recycling. Okay, now fasting can increase your spermidine levels. Spermidine is another compound that is produced in your body, and spermidine can also lead to anti-aging and improve health overall. And autophagy is induced by spermidine. So there are still studies going on about this, but there are some that still prove it, that autophagy can also help with dealing with cancer, because because it kills some of the cells in your body that you don't need. It also ends up killing carcinogenic cells. Okay, so autophagy is good for you, and it is induced in your body because of higher spermidine levels, and higher spermidine levels are caused by intermittent fasting. Okay, now while there are so many benefits, there are some risks, but all the risks that are associated with your fasting regimes, they are typically short term, such as fatigue, dehydration, emesis or vomiting, headaches, irritability, low energy. All of these things you feel when you're fasting. But once you're done fasting, everything goes back to normal. Everything is just fine. Okay. But there are some things that I would still want you to be careful with, such as um, if you have, let's say, diabetes, or if you have another chronic condition that you need to take medications for, and there are some medications which you should not consume empty stomach. Okay, so in cases like that, it is important to have your fasting routine tailored to you, and for that I would recommend you talk to a nutritionist or a dietitian or a doctor, who your personal doctor, family doctor, maybe your cardiologist if you have, let's say, cardiovascular problems. But if you can still manage to fast while you have these problems, it is also proven that fasting can lower blood pressure and reduce cholesterol levels and it decrease inflammation, and basically it overall contributes to heart health. And not just that, if you have any other problems that you need your immune system to be strong for, it is fasting is also proven to be beneficial to improve your immune system. It enhances your body's ability to fight infections. What could be better than that, right? And beyond all of this, there is one thing that I think it is so important that you should fast for, is your cortisol levels. Like I talked about already, that it's the stress hormone. And when you fast intermittent fasting, I'm not talking about prolonged fasting, intermittent fasting can actually reduce your cortisol levels in the long run, which reduces your overall being stress, and therefore improving your mental clarity, your mood, your in general stress levels. It can also help with anxiety and depression. Okay, back to risks. If you have any kind of chronic problems, if you need something tailored to you, talk to your doctor about it. But fasting, in all, it is not bad for you. Oh, and if let's say you're pregnant or you're lactating, in situations like that where you need the nutrition not just for yourself but also for your child, I would say in situations like that you can avoid fasting. Okay. mm, okay, so the key takeaways from today's lecture are that you should opt for intermittent fasting over prolonged fasting, because it allows your body to take some time, adapt to the triggering, adapt to the new um, eating habits without triggering survival mechanisms. Okay. And another thing that I would want to mention as a nutritionist is whenever you have your eating windows, make sure you consume a lot of protein, good healthy fats that can provide you with the energy for the rest of the day without making you feel fatigued and dehydrated. Consume a lot of fiber and um, avoid overly calorie deficit fasts, okay, because they can cause hormonal disruptions. Balancing your fasting with proper nutrition and consistency is very important because it helps maintain healthy ghrelin leptin balance, and it ensures sustainable good benefits without any crazy adverse effects. Okay, and here I have a little QR for you. Let me just move it around on the screen so you can see it. Okay. Okay. All right. So you can scan that for offers and some promotions at my um, establishment, Diet Design and Derma Design. And to contact me with your questions, anything that you want to know, um, you can text me on DM me on Instagram, or you can also send me an email. There is a question: is there any best age for fasting? Personally, this is something inspired by Ramadan. It is it is a very good practice to start building the habit or introducing fasting at an early age, maybe like 10-year or 15-year old. Okay, and then do it throughout your life whenever it's comfortable for you, like 1 month in 1 year, or maybe divided throughout the year, however is comfortable for you. Start fasting at an early age and do it throughout your life, because it is a non-invasive, non-medicated way of improving your health at such a good level. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I think that'll be it for today. If you have any more questions, you can send me an email. If you want, I can stay here for another 5 minutes. How to fast after festive fast? What do you mean by festive fasts? Could you please elaborate? And how, if you want to fast on a weekly basis, I think that's amazing. Go for it. Maybe pick a day. Yeah, 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 yeah. Totally, totally. You can eat during a 9 hour open window. Definitely. Just make sure you're not consuming very high calorie or very high sugar or unhealthy foods. Okay, like try to eat healthier foods when you're um, during that 9 hour or 8 hour or 10 hour open window. Okay, just focus on the nutrients instead of just filling yourself up. Okay, and how to start eating normal after a month of fasting. Okay, so you can introduce foods that you enjoy slowly. um, you can let yourself get you okay, actually I it's very normal. I don't understand how it'll be difficult. It's just that your brain is like trained to eat food at a certain time, like at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. So you might feel hungry at that time, so try maybe like pushing your food 1 hour or 2 hour and every single day. Instead of eating your food at like 5 in the morning, you can have it at 7 in the morning, or maybe like 9 in the morning. Any specific diet or food for weight loss which we can follow for fasting? Um, when you're fasting, I think you're stressing your body enough already. Like try not going crazy with it because you don't want to trigger your survival instincts. If you want to lose weight, focus on losing maybe like 2 kilos in 1 month, and 2 kilos with fasting shouldn't be crazy. Just don't. eat a lot of, like, let's say, fried foods, because this is something that I know people like to enjoy when they're fasting, especially in Ramadan. Fried foods are like a must. Yes, so like I am saying, high fat foods, fried foods. Try focusing more on the fats that can actually contribute to like your body functioning instead of just filling you up with calories. How to get muscle toning after weight loss by fasting? Just focus. I would say just focus on reducing your calorie. Just be like slightly calorie deficit, not crazy calorie deficit. If you, let's say, your BMR is 1200 or 1500, maybe bring it down to maybe like 1100 or 1200 calories a day, instead of like bringing it down to 500 calories a day. Because fasting, like I said, fasting is already anyway stressing your body enough. You wouldn't want to like include a crazy weight loss routine while fasting. 60 kilo female, maybe like around 50 grams of protein. That's like one breast of chicken. That's it. What can we do to start fasting as it is too crampy and stomach pain? Okay, so you're saying maybe, I think, please correct me if I'm understanding your question wrong. Are you asking that how to deal with fasting initially when you start fasting and you feel like very hungry? In that case, try including high fat foods which are like healthy, let's say nuts and seeds and avocados, or maybe like soak your nuts and seeds and dates overnight and then make a milkshake out of that, because that stuff is going to keep you full. And because it is going to keep you full, you're not going to want to eat through the day when you're like fasting. First day of fasting can cause headache because um, I am assuming you're talking about Ramadan fasting, because um, when you get headaches, it is because your body is still not adapted to calorie deficiency or dehydration. Give it a few days. Just make sure when you have the open window, eat everything that you want to eat. Just focus on the healthy stuff, drink lots of water, and hopefully you won't feel that headache on the second day. Can we do exercise during fasting? Of course. Who says you can't? Just make sure you're hydrated enough to not make fasting difficult for you. How much time? Okay, intermittent fasting is not a solution or the way to go for weight loss. Intermittent fasting's main goal is to make you healthier. And if you're doing that along with calorie deficiency, then it leads to weight loss. And it depends from person to person. Let's say if somebody with high abdominal fat, high cortisol levels is trying to do IF, it is going to take them a long time to regulate their hormones first and then focus on the weight loss. So I would suggest, if you want to lose weight along with intermittent fasting, consult your dietitian first, because you don't want to go crazy with fasting, stressing your body along with calorie deficiency. You want to understand these things first, how it is going to affect you as an individual. Can we eat 5 dates during open window? Yeah, definitely. Dates are amazing. Dates have fiber. Dates have nutrients. It has potassium. It has magnesium. It has sugar. You need carbohydrates so much because, like I said earlier, you want carbohydrates and fats enough so your body does not attack your muscles. To prevent muscle loss, you have to consume enough carbohydrates, and dates are amazing for that. A healthy option, even. Any more questions, or if there is something that I have missed or failed to address, if anything like that, can you please let me know now? How to balance out plate with carbs, protein, and fats. Okay, so especially when you're fasting. I would recommend the amount of food that you eat. Make sure that 60% of that is carbohydrates. The remaining 40%, oh, sorry, 50% of that is carbohydrates. Remaining 50%, make it 25 and 25. 25 protein, 25 fats. You know how when you're kids, your teachers they make this plate for you where they like separate proteins, and they separate fruits, and they separate vegetables, and they separate whole grains. For that, I would say, um, make sure like half of your plate is carbohydrates, high protein, high fat foods, and half of your plate is like fruits and vegetables, because you need vitamins and minerals obviously, and half of your plate is good fats. Shall we avoid fruits and juices after fasting? Will it spark sugar in body? Yes, it will. It will give you a sugar spike, but it is good sugar. Don't worry about it. Fruits and juices are very important because they have the nutrients that you need to provide your body with. You need to give yourself vitamins and minerals, or else your body is not going to function properly. Vitamin C, vitamin A, everything has so many roles in your body that it'll be difficult to explain in just one video. Okay, so and juices are going to do an amazing job with keeping you hydrated, because from what I get, 8 hours, 9 hours, it's not enough to make you like completely hydrated if you're just drinking water, because water is kind of boring, isn't it? So include juices, include sugars, good sugars like honey, jaggery, fruits. It's important. Is honey or jaggery, it's not necessarily better than sugar, because technically they are also just sugar, but they can have other benefits. Like honey can have benefits for good skin, or maybe with keeping you for anti-aging. Honey is good with that. Jaggery is just sugar, just like slightly less refined version of it. How to do fasting if someone is diabetic? Depends if you're type 1 diabetic or type 2 diabetic. If you're type 1 diabetic, I'm assuming you have to take insulin shots. There's nothing you can do about it. You have to take it. You can, I'm assuming you can still take that while you're fasting. You can just coordinate it with your food consuming windows. Have a talk about that with your diabetologist or your nutritionist. But if you're type 2 diabetic, when you're consuming food, try going for like low calorie, less teas and coffees, less high sugar foods, fruits like bananas, or um, maybe don't consume a lot of dates. Have sugar in like lesser quantities. Focus more on the proteins, focus more on the good fats, because that good fats are not going to give you a blood sugar spike, which means when you consume good fats, your body takes its time, its sweet time to digest that, and it provides you energy for a longer period of time without giving you the blood sugar spike. So with diabetes, focus a little more on the fats and the proteins instead of the carbohydrates. Or you can, if you want to consume carbohydrates, try going more into like complex carbs like ragi, or like jawar or bajra, like oats, instead of um, maida, like all-purpose flour or refined flour. Okay. Can you explain relationship of fasting and cancer? I did talk about this already. So fasting increases your spermidine levels. Spermidine is a compound that is produced naturally in your body. If you're taking spermidine supplements, it does not do you any good, because it externally, whatever you're putting in your body, especially spermidine, your body does not, I think, digest it. And when you fast, your body increases insulin sensitivity, it increases spermidine levels, and induces autophagy, which is cell death and recycling of good parts of the dying cells. And because of that cell death, it also kills the cancer cells, which is why fasting is a good way of controlling cancer if you've already got it, or preventing it. What about detox water? What about detox water? Detox water is, there are different kinds of detox water, and different things that you put in that water is going to give you different kinds of benefits. So if you're, let's say, putting in lemon and honey, and having it with like hot water with, let's say, chia seeds or black sesame, it's going to aid with weight loss. But if you're, let's say, having hot water with turmeric and cumin and, let's say, fennel seeds, it's going to give you more like anti-inflammatory kind of benefits. It depends on what kind of detox water you want to have and what kind of benefits you want to achieve from it. Should children fast? Sure, if they want to. There's nothing against it. There is no harm. Children can fast. It's fine. In fact, it is like training them for dealing with fasts in the long run, or when they're older. And it is like introducing benefits of fasting from a young age. Which detox water is good for Ramadan fasting? What are the benefits that you are trying to achieve? What do you want from that detox water? If you're, let's say, I would recommend you boil ginger in water, and in that water add a small amount of honey, a small amount of lemon juice, and maybe boil fennel seeds with it, because I love how they work, and cumin seeds. This is going to give you good skin, anti-inflammatory benefits. It is going to make you aid in everything, like if you're consuming, let's say, good food, and you're trying to achieve weight loss, this is going to help with it. If you're trying to prevent cancer or treat cancer, it's going to help with it. Ginger, cumin, fennel, lemon, honey, best combination. You want to introduce some citrus, introduce some cucumber. Depends on what kind of benefits you want to achieve. If yes, then what age should children fast? Maybe if they want to, no pressure. Maybe introduce fasting maybe around the age of 12 or 15. It's not important, but it is a good practice. Is exercise important during 30 days of Ramadan fasting? Yes, definitely. Especially if you want to achieve weight loss. I think you asked about weight loss earlier, right? If you want to achieve weight loss, exercise, good way to go. Pairs wonderfully with fasting. Also, exercise will also help you prevent muscle loss. So when you're fasting and your body is like in a state where, yes, muscle loss is very